What's up everyone, Tom here with another video. Well, who said the lead up to the US election wasn't interesting? Big moves happening across all indices in the US and also commodities around the world. In this video, we'll be discussing the latest stock market news in earnings week, along with our technical analysis thoughts on the S&P 500, NASDAQ, Bitcoin, gold, dollar index, and more. There's a lot to cover in this video, and there's a lot to learn as well about the market's movements right now. Stay tuned. So as we like to do on this channel, let's just quickly recap what happened over the last 24 hours. A few really interesting notables. PayPal did really well. We'll talk about that in just a few moments. Facebook, Google also doing really well on the markets. And in general, everything else wasn't doing that great. If we take a look at the sectors, the same thing, guys, that's been happening the last couple of days. Bullish momentum in the morning coming off the Asian session, and then at the end of the day, selling pressure. Now, this is always an indication of the Wall Street people trapping us, the retail people. And it's never good to see if you're on the wrong side of it. But it's really unfortunate that people don't realize the first hour of trade is often the trap. We did have markets not down too much, but this is not the same as what we had with the futures after the market closes. And we'll be talking about those in this video. If we talk about sectors, what happened on the sectors? Most sectors were flat to down just a little bit. Energy still leading the downward charge here. And that's because, of course, the crisis is worsening in some places around the world. And let's face it, that does mean more people are going to sit inside, not go out, a little bit less energy demand. And that's, of course, demand-supply situation. If we talk about Tesla, Tesla was a little bit of a surprise. It did better than people expected. Though if we're still looking at it from a pure fundamental perspective and not considering everything else about Tesla, basically they came and they earned 331 million or 27 cents a share. And then this time they've got adjusted for one times, the company earned 874 million or 76 cents per share. And this boosted their share price up a little bit to, I think it was trading about $434-ish after the close. So there is some movement on Tesla. It is a decent result. Obviously, there's an expectation now for more cars to be sold next year. But overall, it's not probably that much knocking it out of the ballpark. We'll have to see what the bulls and bears decide. Of course, the main thing going on, guys, in the markets right now is discussions about this stimulus. We all know eventually stimulus will get passed, but because of politics, most likely not before the election. It may just not serve either side. One will blame the other and the other one will blame the other. We know how politics goes, and we're not a political channel. But overall, we probably won't see the stimulus just yet. We do have a deadline, it looks like, December 31st. In the US over the last couple of years, it's always been right at the 11th hour or just after that often things get passed. Now, I'm not saying it's going to be December 31st, but we probably will have to wait until after the election, and the markets are starting to move off that. Now, we mentioned we discussed PayPal, and I think this one is just a very interesting point. So PayPal, of course, shoots to record highs after introducing none other than cryptocurrencies to the platform. And I think this is a pretty big deal. This is a major payment platform getting cryptocurrencies as a transaction base. Very big news, I think, in the crypto space. That's why we saw Bitcoin move crazily as well. All cryptos are hyperactive on this move, and it will probably be short-lived like most of them. It'll go up for a few days, sugar rush, and then come back to earth. But very, very interesting to see cryptocurrencies start to go the way of mainstream, which they certainly weren't necessarily during the last big bull. So let's talk about markets right now. Copper. Well, Dr. Copper is saying all good on the markets. We obviously have recovery here. 3.2 being reached yesterday by copper. And now we expect definitely some decline back to the 20 moving average here at around 3.15 where it'll meet it. However, this does bode well for long-time investors in the markets. Higher copper price and increasing copper price is often a key thing that leads the way on market sentiment. And we do want to see this rising if we believe in the long-term case of the markets going up. Dollar index, a little bit different. Dollar has been failing the last couple of days. We can see here that the US dollar broke through that 92.80, closed below, and then has begun its retracement back up. Now, this is what I call like a 1, 2, 3. Basically, we have a huge amount of market structure over here on the left-hand side around the 92.80. And now that the market's coming back up, it's probably going to find some selling pressure around this 92.80. I think that would make a lot of sense. It may continue up to the 93 and hit the 20, but 92.80 should have some selling pressure. The main thing that now happens is it looks like we're bearish dollar now for a little while. And that's because getting through this support is a big deal. And then moving down and gravitating to the 92 makes a lot of logical sense. When we're talking about the markets as a whole, we're obviously always talking about the fear index or VIX to get an idea of whether there's fear in the market. Fear dropped out of the market a little bit yesterday, but that's probably because the range of the market wasn't that large. Realistically, it doesn't look like we're going to get stimulus, and it could be one of those, buy the rumor, sell the fact kind of concepts where the market comes down to a key level of support, scares everybody, gets the put call ratios up, and then moves higher after that event, even though things look dire on the news standpoint. Fear came out. That is our indicator there. We've got copper up, dollar index down, fear coming down a little bit within our channel of 30 and 25, and then put call ratios rising. Now, all those four things technically point towards maybe not seeing that much fear coming back into the market. They all point towards the idea that it's a trap set by Wall Street to potentially make us all think the market's going bearish at the support. As I like to always say, follow the price action and follow what's going on. So I thought in this video, we'll cover the four major indices quickly, just to give you an idea of some of the things that I'm looking at. So firstly, the Russell 2000, the small cap companies. Here we have a pullback. Now we all know that's a pullback. We're just going to look at this on the daily, and we've got it hitting around this 16,000 right now. Now we know that just before 16,000, 1595 was multiple resistance. We have a 20 exponential moving average there, and there's a good chance that this could act as support, and then the market may move up. Now guys, we all know that of course the 20 moving average is incredibly popular moving average to use. The previous resistance will act as role reversal, and there could be some buying pressure there from the Russell 2000. If we take a look at the Dow Jones, aftermarket looks a little bit different, I think, than necessarily what we did see in the real market. So the real market stopped around here. It stopped around the previous support zones, and we have been seeing weakness on the Dow Jones. So notably, we've been seeing a lesser peaks or lower peaks on the move down. Now we just got a 1 hour close below in the futures session, and that's closing below that 28,160 level. Previous support, previous support, previous support. So if we're going to take the Dow as our lead, and we're going to believe the futures trading, which we don't on this channel, by the way, then we are basically looking at further selling pressure coming into the markets right now. But it's this critical point that I want to get at. So the Dow is breaking down, but the big one, the US 500, has not done so yet. We are at the 3420, guys. We are at the promised land of the most important support resistance zone over the last couple of weeks. Everything's looking relatively bearish coming into it. We have a series of lower peaks, standard with a downtrend. We have, of course, the 20 moving average, relatively speaking, if we go to the 4 hour, holding this market down. So if we go to the 4 hour, you can see there multiple touches and every time being resistance. But we're at the key price action support now. So we need the bullish case to come in. Now, if you want to wait and see, and you're one of those kind of investors or traders, the easiest way, if you don't want to know what's happening right now and you don't want to get in long, is to wait and see the previous peaks get broken, closed above, pick it up, and then take it long. That's kind of like the easy money. That's the easy flow. Now, the other way of doing things, obviously you wait for a smaller time frame, change of trend, and take it up. But we do know that that can be fraught with danger as well. And if you're a bear, well, you need it to close underneath this zone. We've spoken about that quite a lot. We need to see a bearish close on the real market, not this one, not the US 500, the SPX, underneath the 3420. That will trigger sells, it will trigger algorithms, it'll probably trigger the fear index coming through as well. And then at that point, you're looking at sells down to the key levels. We've spoken about the key levels quite a lot in the last couple of days, so definitely go and check out yesterday's video if you want to see more on the US 500. But overall, that's the type of thing that we're looking at right now. For the NASDAQ, it remains the same. This is the real NASDAQ here, not the futures. And again, double rejection wicks off that 11,800 zone. For the NASDAQ traders, it's all about 200-point increments. We've spoken about if it gets through the 11.6 and closes below, it's going to go to the 11.4. Notice here on the daily NASDAQ, we have a 50 exponential moving average there. Then if it gets through that zone, it goes to the 11.2. Why does it go to the 11.2? There's a lot of support zone there through the futures contracts and just in general. So we're basically looking at 200-point increments on the NASDAQ either way. If we get through the 11.8 to the upside, I think we see further rallying to 12 and then 12.2. But this is the critical point. This is where the market's going to coil and it's going to make its decision for the next week into the election. This is the type of thing that we look for as traders and investors, and we recognize it as a critical juncture that we need to pay attention to. And that is the key to trading. Critical junctures happen every so often. We've seen several of them throughout this crisis, but they're not every single day. I can make a video saying they are every single day, but they're not every single day. This is a critical juncture in the markets right now. On to Bitcoin. So of course, PayPal definitely helped to get through. We talked about how the RSI was getting into that overbought zone. And we said last time what happens is that usually it has that extra spike in it. So we definitely would have an RSI spiking well through. It hit 13,000. Now last time it moved 2,000 points. So it went from 10 to 12,000. But this time it did hit that 13,000. There is some selling pressure. Congratulations to people that have been buying Bitcoin recently. And it's hit one of those key psychological zones. So usually we see some resistance pressure here, or it's just going to go all the way to 14,000. There's definitely going to be resistance on Bitcoin there. If we look at the longer term charts, we know that just before 14,000, it wick rejected previously, and 13,000 is obviously a level as well. So I think there could be some selling coming in after that euphoria due to the PayPal high. On to gold. What's happening on gold? Well, gold has broken out of our symmetrical here. It's broken out of our wedging, and we basically have seen a bit of bullish movement. It reached the 1930, sold off, and now it's coming back down to test. So we wouldn't be surprised for it to come back down and test this trend line from the top down. Now, when it does that, it's going to intercept a 20 and a 200 moving average acting as dynamic support, and we've got previous resistance highs or role reversal here. So pretty strong zone to alert. We've spoken about this on our weekend analysis. We've talked about gold quite a few times. We are now clearly out of the trap. It happened a little bit later than we'd hoped, but we have clearly broken through the trap. Now we're looking for bullish sentiment off that zone, come back through the 1930, close above that zone, and then of course trigger to the 1960 area. The 1960 area will be some form of resistance. For gold traders, it's an exciting time. Same with silver, because we're hitting levels now where we've broken out of a clear area. If we go to silver and we take a look at that market, it hasn't been as aggressive as gold overall, but it did come back down. I noticed this yesterday on the 1 hour, that it was probably going to come back down and find some buying pressure off that 20 initially. And notice how that happened. This is good for scalpers and day traders. If you ever see like two resistances and then you have a 20 moving average catching up with price and it's already respected it a few times, see the respect here, 1, 2 respects, then the third one is a great scalping or day trading opportunity. Remember, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. It's what we do on this channel all the time. We go the 1, 2, 3. So hopefully you enjoyed this video today, and if you did, remember to subscribe and of course hit that alert button. We'll be coming right at you tomorrow with another video, and we'll obviously have our weekend videos. And remember, live session Monday next week for the opening bell. It's always a blast with you guys in the community. All right, bye for now, and we'll see you in the next video.